Hi folks, my name's Jem, I'm the Crazy Pigeon Lady, and it's my mission to entertain, educate and inspire you with all things pigeon and duck. Welcome back to my series #Ask the Pigeon Lady, where I am taking your questions. If you haven't asked a question yet, please do pop it down in the comments below and I will get to as many as I can. This week I have a question from Lucy Lou, who told me a lovely story about the birds visiting her garden, and she asked the question, how can you tell if they are male or female pigeons? And I think she's specifically referring to wood pigeons, the Eurasian wood pigeon, Columba palumbus. Please do check out my Pigeon playlist, where you'll find an episode all about this species, which is a common species local to where I live in the UK. So, Lucy, when it comes to wood pigeons specifically, it is actually quite difficult to tell the difference between males and females. But before I get to your question, I just want to talk about the differences between the genders in the pigeon and dove family generally. Now, within the pigeon and dove family, there are species which are sexually dimorphic. That means that the males and females that look different, and there are species that aren't. So lots of exotic pigeon species, for example, particularly within the tree ron genus, so the green pigeons, and also the fruit doves, genus Tilenopus. There are clear differences between males and females, and the males will often be brightly coloured and have lots of markings, and the females will be duller and less conspicuous. However, there are a lot of species where the differences between males and females are perhaps a little bit more subtle. But there are species in which the differences are very difficult to perceive at all. In other words, there is no difference in terms of the coloration or the markings to suggest the difference between males and females. So it's a lot more difficult to determine the gender. So you have to look for lots of subtle cues, particularly in behaviour when you're observing the birds, in order to ascertain the males from the females. Now, in wood pigeons, particularly Columba palumbus, differences you might be looking for. First of all, size. The average weight of a male wood pigeon is a bit higher than the average weight of a female wood pigeon. So generally you will see that the males are a little larger. Although, like a lot of things with pigeons, there is no hard and fast rules here, and there may be males who are at the smaller end of the weight range together with females who are at the higher end of their weight range, who will appear to be a similar size. The other thing you can look for when looking at wood pigeons would be the extent of the glossy colours on the neck. Generally in the males this is more extensive, and in the females it will perhaps be a little duller and not cover as big an area. And this is because it's the males who are showing off these colours in order to attract the females. They have a specific function. The male plays the more active role in courtship. And I talk a little bit about this in my Fun Fact Friday episode, where I talk about iridescence. Please check out this episode to find out more about those iridescent colours and how they are actually perceived. So if you notice that there is a little bit more extensive coloration there, you could be looking at a male. Also in wood pigeons you need to look at the dark pinkish colour that is down their chest. In the males it is generally a bit richer and a bit darker, and in females it will be paler. You could also look at the backs of the pigeons. In the male the grey will have more of a bluish tone, and the females are perhaps slightly duller. But these differences in neck coloration, chest and feathers are really quite subtle, so you'd have to observe a lot of birds together and know for sure whether they were males or females to be able to really notice those differences. So in answer to your question, Lucy, it's actually really quite difficult to spot a male or female wood pigeon. You generally have to observe behaviour. Males will generally act more aggressively. They will often puff themselves up, stretch their necks out. You might see them jabbing or wing slapping at other pigeons, although females will do that too if they're getting territorial over a feeding area. And males might engage in a little bit of courtship behaviour, perhaps if they've turned up to the feeding area with their mate, so they might bow low, fan out their tail as they do so and raise up. That would be a bit of a courtship gesture that they're doing to their own mate or perhaps to another female. So there you have it, Lucy. There are some subtle differences between the coloration in wood pigeons, but you really need to have a close look at behaviour in order to have the best chance of telling the difference between males or females. I hope that's helped you out. Folks, if you haven't asked any questions already for Ask the Pigeon Lady, please do pop them down in the comments below, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Thanks everyone. Bye bye.